Okay, so we use contradictions to prove these questions. First, we assume that these 2 points are not the same. So this means the distance, which is d1, I don't care what is that number, but it should be larger than 0 because it's not the same, right? These 2 points are not the same. So we call it the distance as d1 here. And we can find, we can pick up a threshold, a criteria, epsilon 1, okay, epsilon 1 and epsilon 2 here, that fall between 0 and half of the d1. Okay, actually you can pick any others. I mean, like, there are others possible candidate here, but half of it will be easy to operate. Okay, so given what the question says, we already know that the sequence will converge to x star and x plum here, right? So, so following our definitions, if it converges to x star, then that means given the epsilon 1, I can find the big N1 here, such that for all small n, when it passed the big N1 here, it should get it very close to x star. How close is it? It should smaller than epsilon 1 here. So that is what this line says. And you do the same for the second line here, which is when it converges to x plum here. Given that criteria, epsilon 2, I can find big N2 here, such that when the small n pass the big N2 here, the sequence get closer and closer to the x plum. How close it is? It's smaller. It is smaller than epsilon 2 here. So that is the first part. Okay. Then I'm going to talk about the second part. Right? And then, because we already know the big N1 and big N2, right? We just pick the biggest one, the bigger one, which I call it big N here. And because this sequence will converge to 2 points here, so we know that for all small n larger than that big N, which is also satisfy this condition here, right? So we know that that condition still holds, which means the sequence will still get closer to, close enough to the convergence point, which is x star and x plum here, right? So that one also holds. And then by triangle inequality, we know this one has to be true. Okay, even when the n is larger, the small n is larger than big N, this condition also be true. That says that the convergence point x star, the distance between this convergence point and the sequence xn, and the distance between the sequence xn and the convergence point x plum here, the sum of these two distances should be larger than the distance between these two convergence points, which is d1. Okay. However, the way we pick up the criteria, epsilon 1 and epsilon 2, tell us that when you sum the distance between these two terms, it should be less than d1. But the triangle inequality tells you it should be larger than d1. So here's where we find the contradictions here. And because of that, we can say the point should be unique. That complete the proof. Okay, right. I think it's it's time to have a 15-minute break. And if you have any questions, feel free to come to the front and let me explain it to you. Thank you.